Hello, my name's Jelena. I'm a registered dietitian and I'm going to be showing you how to make one of my favorite breakfast recipes, tofu scramble. You can kind of think of it as a plant-based alternative to scrambled eggs. I make this breakfast pretty often because it's a very easy recipe, super tasty, and very nutritious. The ingredients that are used for this recipe are firm tofu. Very important that you buy the firm tofu because that's going to give us the desired texture. Vegetables. Some of my favorites are mushrooms. I basically chose these pre-sliced white mushrooms to cut down on prep time. They're already washed and sliced. I got this frozen mixture of fire roasted bell peppers and onions, again to cut down on prep time. They're already chopped up. All I have to do is add them to the pan. And then fresh spinach. Again, all I have to do is add it to the pan. So I selected these vegetables for time purposes. Everything's already washed and chopped, so that cuts down on the prep time. But you can use other vegetables if you want to use fresh diced tomatoes, kale, green onion. There's a variety of different vegetables that you can use in this recipe if you'd like. Some of the spices that we're going to use are turmeric. This is really to give it the color that we want, and black pepper and salt. I love this 21 seasoning salute from Trader Joe's. Basically, it's a salt-free mixture of different spices. And then another key ingredient in this recipe is nutritional yeast. I found this one at Trader Joe's as well. The nutritional yeast is really going to give it kind of like an eggy, cheesy flavor, so it's definitely an ingredient that you want to include. You will need cooking oil. I'm a big fan of this. Again, Trader Joe's. I swear I'm not sponsored. I wish I was, but this olive oil spray. But you can use olive oil or avocado oil, whatever oil that you have handy at home. And then as far as how I'm going to serve the tofu scramble, I'm going to serve mine with some toast, some fresh sliced avocado on top, and then a side of mixed berries. But you can really serve this any way you'd like. If you want to serve it with a side of breakfast potatoes or English muffin, or if you want to use it in a breakfast burrito, that would also work fine. So it's really up to your liking. So the first step that we're going to do, very key step here, is to drain the fluid from the tofu, so it comes in like a liquid, and then we're gonna wanna press our tofu. So this is a really important step because this is gonna give us the desired texture that we want. Oftentimes when I hear people say that they dislike tofu, it has to do with the texture. They describe it as being like very soft or slimy or mushy. So generally anytime I make any tofu recipe, I press the tofu. So I already have a block of tofu here that I drained the fluid from, but I'll show you guys how to press your tofu. So basically what you're gonna wanna do is take a plate and a couple sheets of paper towels, and then you're gonna take your block of tofu, place it on the plate, and then wrap it in the paper towels. You could really just leave it like this and gently press it, or to kind of speed up the process, you can put an object, like a light-weighted object on it. I always use this tea kettle that I have, and I just place it right on top like this. Obviously, you don't want it to be something too heavy to where it would crush the tofu, but just something to apply some pressure on it to help basically press out any excess fluid that's in the tofu. So you can let that sit for just a couple of minutes. It doesn't take very long. And then in the meantime, I'll go over to the pan and start sauteing up the vegetables. So I'm gonna take my olive oil spray and start heating up my pan. And then Probably gonna throw the onions and the bell peppers in first. Looks like I used about half of the bag, so roll it up and put that away. And then my sliced mushrooms. Again, you don't have to buy these sliced ones, but for time's sake, you know, it's really helpful to have vegetables that are already washed and chopped. So I'm gonna go ahead and add these to the pan. And I'm not really measuring out the vegetables. You kind of just add them to your liking. If you like a lot of veggies, not so much. It's all up to your discretion. So I love mushrooms, so I added quite a few mushrooms. And then I will probably let that saute a little bit longer before I cook the spinach, because spinach cooks a lot quicker. So then, in the meantime, take our pressed tofu. You could leave it there a little bit longer if you want, but I'm going to go ahead and just press it a little bit myself. Again, removing some of the excess fluid or liquid. And then we're basically gonna crumble up our tofu, kind of like a scrambled egg texture, right? Because we're trying to essentially mimic what scrambled eggs would look like. So you can, if you'd like, use a knife and chop it up finely and use a fork. I actually prefer to just crumble the tofu with my hands. So clean hands and a bowl for mixing. And basically we'll just take the tofu and I just start breaking it up like this. And then I start crumbling it. So crumbling it into the bowl. Paper towel to wipe off my hands and then show you guys what I meant by crumbling it. There could be like some bigger chunks in there, it doesn't really matter. You just want to get it kind of this crumbly type texture. And then I'm just going to check on the vegetables really quickly before I show you guys how I season the tofu. Okay, so let's start with turmeric. I would say go lightly with the turmeric. It's very strong in flavor and you don't want it to overpower the recipe. I really just include turmeric in this recipe to give it its color, so to give it like a yellow color. But turmeric is a very important spice for Parkinson's because it contains curcumin, which is an antioxidant that helps with inflammation. So that could pertain to inflammation of the nervous system, neuroinflammation, or inflammation in other parts of the body that cause pain. Turmeric has that medicinal property, so it's great to just keep it on hand as a staple and add it to recipes when you can. So I don't really measure my spices very much. I kind of just eyeball it to my liking. And then this is one of my favorite seasoning blends. It's the 21 seasoning salute from Trader Joe's. Again, I kind of just eyeball it to my liking. There's no salt or sodium in it, so you can, add as much as you want. And then ground black pepper. I love black pepper, so I'm probably gonna add a lot. And then salt. I always get asked what's the best salt. I really don't have too strong of an opinion on whether it's sea salt or regular table salt. I started using iodized salt because not all salt has iodine in it. And I think that using iodized salt is just a great way of making sure that you get the important mineral iodine in your diet. So that's my preferred salt. I don't know if it's the best, but. And then nutritional yeast. So with the nutritional yeast, we will measure it out a little. We'll do like maybe 2 to 3 tablespoons. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and add some of the spinach to the vegetable pan over there before I start mixing up my tofu and spices. Okay, so whenever I mix my tofu scramble and spices, I actually just like to use a fork when I mix it. I don't know, it just works best for me with the crumbled texture, making sure that it all mixes up really well. So I just take a fork like this and kind of stir it in. Make sure that all the spices are mixed in well. So tofu, another reason some people are kind of like not so fond of tofu is they say that the flavor is bland. So you really should season and marinate tofu the same way that you would meat. If you really wanted to pack in the flavor of whatever tofu you're making, the tofu scramble or whatever other tofu dish that you're making, you could marinate it so that the tofu can actually soak up the flavors that you're using. So sometimes I will make this recipe and then store it in the refrigerator and cook it at a later time, and it can turn out more flavorful that way. You don't really have to, but it's an option. So this really almost looks just like egg. So this is it all mixed up. See, looks like egg. So let me go turn on the pan and add some of my olive oil spray. Okay, so then basically all you're gonna do is add your tofu mixture to your pan with olive oil And I usually do like medium-high heat. I kind of like to let the tofu get a little bit crispy and brown a little bit. Not too much, but just so that there's some crunch to it and it's not, again, that mushy tofu texture. So I just take my tofu bowl and add it to my pan with oil. So you can just use a spatula basically to make sure that the tofu is spread out evenly on the pan. I'm going to turn off my veggies, and then it really just takes a couple minutes of cooking. You can kind of go stir it a few times throughout the cooking, and then I'm going to start building my plate by getting my toast and my avocado slices and the berries that I had made. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn on my toaster. I'm just gonna use the same plate that I pressed the tofu in because it's practically clean. I'll just wipe it down a little bit. Right? Who wants to do more dishes? It's a perfectly clean plate. So, okay. So like I said, you can really serve this recipe in a number of different ways. I'm going to do some fresh berries on the side. So I am like a big advocate for always having fresh berries on hand. They're full of phytonutrients, antioxidants, vitamins, and they're tasty. So they're just something that I always like to include in my meals when I can. I also have a really big sweet tooth, so this helps. I can't not eat a berry while I'm doing this. So I'm gonna go check on the tofu scramble, stir it up a little bit. I really do have the flame on high, actually. So maybe high flame works best. And you can get quite a few servings out of this recipe. This is another reason why I make it. I'm very busy during the week with work, go to work very early because I work at a hospital and I don't have time every single morning to make a fresh breakfast. So this is usually something that I'll make, like, let's say on a Sunday on my day off, and I'll have a portion of it, and then I'll probably, with one package of tofu, I'll probably have about 2 or 3 more servings from what I make. But if you'd like to have more servings, then you could use 2 packages of the tofu. Sometimes I'll put it on top of salads, like if I'm just kind of over it for breakfast, or I have a little bit left over, then I'll, like I said, I'll add it to the top of a salad. Give it another stir. The other thing I really love about this recipe is it's high in protein. So it keeps you satiated longer. Your breakfast should always have protein in it. It's also high in fiber because we're adding in all of those vegetables. And it's filling. So just a couple other reasons why I love this recipe and thought to share it with you guys. Now I'm gonna go ahead and basically add the cooked vegetables to the same pan that the tofu is cooking in, and I'm gonna mix it all together. So it's gonna be a scramble with the tofu and the vegetables. Okay, and then I'm just mixing it all together. The flame is still on high, so I lied, it's not medium heat, it's high heat. Okay, I'll let it cook for maybe about another minute. Put some of my ingredients away while I'm at it. Okay, and it's all done, so let me show you guys the final product. And here is our beautiful tofu scramble. So I, again, can't emphasize enough how much this is one of my favorite meals. I hope you guys enjoy it. Feel free to switch up the seasonings that you use. Like I said, the nutritional yeast and turmeric are pretty key ingredients in it, but you could use other spices to your liking. Like I said, instead of using it or having it with a piece of toast, feel free to serve it with some potatoes or an English muffin or tortilla, whatever you like. I hope you guys enjoy it and take care.